What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another video. My name is AJ McCarran. Let's get started. All right, the draft is tomorrow. There are some rumors going about. There is some fuckery in the air because, man, the things that I'm hearing I can't believe. So I think I'm done with mock drafts. If you want to see any of my mock draft videos, click through to the channel. There is a playlist that has every single mock draft that I've done, from a 2-round mock draft, which is separated into 2 videos, and I've done a couple 7-round mock drafts with a few teams. That's the Steelers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Vikings, the Browns, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So didn't have time to get through every single team. I started this kind of late, but next year I plan to go through every single team in March. We'll have a March mock draft madness, if you will. So, you know, definitely go check all those out to get your fill for the day. Today's video will be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about my guys. And when you hear that in the mock draft community, you're talking about guys that you believe are going to either overplay their draft spot. They're going to end up being more valuable than when they were drafted at. There are people that are players that you believe in that are going to succeed in the next level. You can't wait to see at the next level. Things of that sort. So I decided what to do is instead of just picking like 3 or 4 random, players, I'd get one at each position and tell you a little bit about why I like them and why I'm a little bit higher on them than maybe most other people are. Now, this isn't limited to just like, lower totem pole type players like day 3 players, maybe late round 2. I've got some first rounders in here. I've got a couple top 10 players in here. It's all over the spectrum. And that's because there are players, that you find throughout this process that you're like, wow, this guy's pretty exciting. I want to see him play at the next level, so let's go. So without further ado, as you can see, I've got the positions lined up here on the board. A few notes: interior offensive line could be guard, it could be center. It could also be like a tackle that I think that projects better at guard at the next level. That's kind of why you're seeing what you're seeing. Edge rusher could be like outside linebacker, 4-3 defensive end, things like that. So just a few technical things to keep in mind as we go through this. I think most people watching this are probably used to this terminology, so I probably don't have to explain it, but it is what it is. All right, first, we're going to start with quarterback, and why not? And I had a couple options for this. I thought about going with Jordan Love from Utah State, but I think the player I'm most excited about is going to be Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. And the reason is because the smoke screens today are insane. A lot of people thinking that the Dolphins are thinking about trading up and taking an offensive tackle at the 3rd position because they want to jump ahead of the Giants, who also want an offensive tackle. I've seen the trade rumors that they're trading up for him to get Justin Herbert to solidify that selection. If the Dolphins take Justin Herbert over Tua, I will lose my mind. I will be surprised. This kid has it, man. You watch the tape. The tape doesn't lie. I understand that there's medical red flags and there's concerns about his durability, but the tape doesn't lie. He's got better accuracy than Justin Herbert. His pocket awareness is almost like cheating. And what was the other note I have? Football IQ. This dude just has it, and I think it can translate well to the next level. And I think that if you erase his medical history, a little bit of a hypothetical here, you erase that medical history, we are talking about a serious discussion whether or not it's Joe Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa as the #1 pick in this draft. I really do believe that. So I think Tua is my guy for the quarterback position. Moving on to the running backs. I don't believe a running back is going to go in the 1st round this year. That remains to be seen, but I'm hedging my bets on that prediction. So, I like the running backs at the top. I like Swift, Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor. But one guy I fell in love with recently has been Zach Moss from Utah. And the dude's just elusive. I think he's probably the next Kareem Hunt, if I could say that. And I've seen other people sort of make that comparison. And it's because he's elusive. He can make people miss. And I've said it in a couple other videos, but he has one of the highest, or one of the better ratings in terms of missed tackles on rushing and receiving attempts. And one of the only 2 Power 5 conference running backs to fit in that category. The other one, I think, was DJ Dallas from Miami. So really like Zach Moss. Excited to see him at the next level. And yeah, moving on. Wide receiver. Again, second year in a row, love the wide receiver class. Absolutely love it. Last year, I was in love with guys like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Hakeem Butler, just to name drop a few. Those two haven't quite panned out, but there's still time. Wide receivers take a longer time to transition in this league than other positions may do. So, a guy I like who is not exactly probably going to go first day, maybe not even second day, but I like James Prochet from SMU. The guy just goes up and gets it, man. It's like if you throw the ball at him and there's a defender nearby, he's going to go, look, man, this ball is mine. You better stay away. I'm taking it. And that's pretty sweet. He's got really good hands, just a vacuum of a wide receiver, and he likes to go up and get it. His contested catch trait is one of the better ones that we've seen. All right, moving on to the tight end position. This one was a little bit tougher because this tight end class is not very good. You could talk about some of the guys that tested well, but as you know, there's even the rumor that Cole Kmet from Notre Dame could go in the first round. But for tight ends, I'm a little bit disappointed. But this year, my guy for tight end is going to have to be Hunter Bryant from Washington. And the reason I picked him is just because he's got some, you know, he's somebody who's diverse. Maybe not so much an inline tight end, but I should probably cut these parts out where I put the name up on the board, but I didn't decide to do that for this video. You know, 6'2", 239, not exactly the world's biggest tight end, not exactly the world's most prolific athlete at the position, but he's got a diverse route tree, and I think he can be a mismatch opportunity because of his acceleration. You see him get into open field, and he has a nice burst to him, so you put him on a bigger, slower linebacker, you've created a mismatch opportunity where he could get up through the seam, maybe. So that's something that I'm looking out for in this guy. Next, moving on to tackle, we're at the offensive line part of the video. It's pretty hard to scout offensive line. I'm not going to admit, I've only been doing this for a little while. Been watching football forever, but as far as like paying attention to what they're doing on film and whatever, you know, offensive line is one of the more boring positions to scout, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody will say, you know, hey, you got to look for this, this, and this, and it'll be exciting. I'm sure that's true, but for me, I'm more of a secondary edge rusher skill position type of person that enjoys watching that kind of tape. But if I had to pick somebody for the offensive tackle position, I would go with Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. And the reason is because he tested well. And, you know, there may be a little bit of a Big Ten regional bias in there because of where I live. But I think he probably could be the #1 tackle off the board come tomorrow to the New York Giants even. But I think maybe Dave Gettleman's probably going to surprise us all with Mekhi Becton. But I like Tristan Wirfs, and I think he would be my guy for the tackle position. Moving on, we have the interior offensive line position. Again, not a very solid group this year. Cesar Ruiz, Matt Hennessy, a couple names that jump out at you. But I went with Robert Hunt from Louisiana. And one of the things is I'm kind of predicting him to be the Titus Howard of this draft. You know, last year, Titus Howard was a guy that met with a boatload of teams, had all kinds of meetings with teams from around the league, and he ends up getting picked in the first round by the Houston Texans. I'm kind of seeing a similar, you know, pattern with him this year. So he would be my guy for the interior offensive line. Next, edge rusher. I had a difficult time with this one. Last year, I would have said Brian Burns, just because of the film and the way he was bending all over the place. The edge rusher class last year spoiled us, as I've said multiple times. If I were to pick one this year, I'd go with Josh Uche from Michigan. And, you know, his tape's pretty good. He played well against other top-tier offensive tackles. He's got some film against Tristan Wirfs. He's got some film against Jedrick Wills. And, you know, he did okay against those guys. And then you look at, you know, his interviews is what really stood out to me during the interview process, where he said he talked about how he studied the position, you know, the people that he looked up to, the players that came before him, how he would try to take what they had on tape and adapt it to his own game. So it makes me think like this kid has a good head on his shoulders. He's going to be in the film room. He's going to be working on his craft. And that's kind of, you know, what I'd like to hear. I think this guy could definitely sneak into the first round. Probably not. Probably a day 2 pick in the second round. But I like what I see so far from the guy. Next, for the interior defensive line, going with the defensive tackle, I'm going with who I think is the best one, and that's Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. A lot of people have Derek Brown as their #1 defensive tackle. I think Derek Brown is a glorified run stopper, whereas Javon Kinlaw is on the opposite side of that spectrum, and he is a glorified pass rusher in a good way. So I think Javon Kinlaw is the better of the two top defensive tackles in this draft. You know, nothing against Derrick Brown. I love Derrick Brown. I think he's a great player. I've seen some good film with him where he, you know, drops back and doesn't give up on a play and chases down a running back 5 to 10 yards out. You know, he's definitely worthy of a first-round pick. Don't get me wrong. This is not trying to stomp all over him. Absolutely not. I just like Javon Kinlaw better. And I think that he'll definitely go ahead of Derrick Brown in the first round. So that's why I like him. Next, for the linebacker position, I don't really think I have to explain this one too much. But damn, I like watching Isaiah Simmons play. You know where he's from. I don't even have to tell you. I like watching Isaiah Simmons film. The best, I wrote it down here. There was a scout that wrote down this phrase he used to describe his ability to tackle. Tackle radius is the size of Montana, which is true if you watch the tape, especially I forget which of the films I watched last year, or that I've watched up leading to this, but the dude is sideline to sideline. He's all over the place. It's like Jaws, man. You know he's around, but you just don't know when he's going to get you. So very excited to see Isaiah Simmons play at the next level. Next for corner, a guy I've been looking at a lot lately as a potential Minnesota Viking first-round pick, but maybe he slides down a little bit further now. That's Jeff Gladney from TCU. And, you know, he's not the biggest corner in the world, not the greatest corner in the world, but, you know, with Jeff Gladney, there's this quickness to his game. There is, you know, honing in on a wide receiver and absolutely getting to the point of attack. This kid makes me think potential ball hawk. You know, you've heard that phrase a lot from, you know, other prominent corners throughout the league. I think this kid could be a ball hawk, and I'm ready to see it happen. All right, so last position. I'm going to spend not too much time on this one because I'm gonna admit it. Safety kind of disappoints me this year. Last year we had guys like Darnell Savage, who was a my guy. We had Jonathan Abram, who was a my guy for me last year. I absolutely loved watching the safety class last year. I thought it was great. This time, not so much, but just to keep in the spirit of maybe getting one more chance to talk about a player, I went with Terrell Burgess going back to Utah. You know, he's got a lot of criticisms about his game, but I definitely think he could be a very good nickel corner, box safety, creeping up, you know, on the line a little bit. I wrote down some notes about him here. Box safety, nickel guy who can tackle, plays zone very well. So yeah, I'm interested to see that. I think he could be somebody who has draft stock that goes up a little bit higher than more people are thinking. So that's it. Those are my guys for the 2020 NFL Draft. Tua Tagovailoa, Zach Moss, James Prochet, Hunter Bryant, Tristan Wirfs, Robert Hunt, Josh Uche, Javon Kinlaw, Isaiah Simmons, Jeff Gladney, and Terrell Burgess round out the team. So I look forward to seeing where these guys get drafted tomorrow. Very excited that the draft is here. Guys, if you're enjoying this content, you know, welcome to the community, I guess. We're going to be doing a lot of draft videos and all sorts of things. So also leave some links down in the description below. You can follow us on our Facebook podcast where we do podcasts. We're getting back into that a little bit more regularly. And you can follow the Facebook page for more content. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.